All right, hey everyone. Thank you guys for coming to the Groovy Gardens once again. Um, Wanted to talk to you guys. I have my dad back here with me, and you know, this is where I learned a lot of how to grow, and he wanted to talk to you guys and tell you guys a little bit of how to grow a few things, whether it be here in Nevada or in Jamaica, where he's from. But Dad, you want to tell him something? Anything about growing or the garden?
It depends on what you wanna.
What they want to know?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to ask a question for everyone probably has questions like, what's the difference between growing here in Jamaica and growing here in Nevada in the desert? What's the difference?
Soil is very important, and the soil is what feed the plant. And if you don't have the rich soil, you got to build on the soil, like make compost, get the leaves from the tree, plow it up in the soil, then that make the soil more rich and potent. And the leaves breed the earthworm, which feed the soil and let the soil get more important, which is better for the plant. The plant got better soil to feed on, so you get better fruits, better plant. It's more flavorable.
Okay, so what you're saying is, that in Jamaica, the difference between Jamaica and the Nevada would be the soil.
The soil.
The soil.
Yeah.
The soil. What about the weather?
Well, the weather is different too, but the soil is more important. Like
it's more rich.
Beside snow, plants can grow in any weather beside the snow. So, but the plant cannot grow in any soil.
Okay. So since we're here in Nevada, the soil's not that good. You can't really grow in that Nevada soil. But since I've enriched the soil and it's now doing a lot better, that's why I'm able to grow. So, and even though the weather's different, it's real hot, they can grow in any weather, but they can't grow in any soil. That's okay. Yeah. All right. So you guys heard it. That the difference between here, Nevada, and the desert in Jamaica would be the soil, guys. It would be the soil. Of course, the weather. We all know the weather's different. But like he said, plants can grow in any weather. That is any weather. But except for snow, plants don't really make it too well in the snow, but they cannot grow in any soil. So whether the plant likes acidic soil, non-acidic soil, alkaline soil, rich soil, dry soil, plants require a certain soil as they do the weather, but any plant can adapt to weather. It's adapting to soil, which would be very limited for most plants. So, okay, all right, thank you, Dad. What else you got? Anything else? What about what's some of your favorite plants to grow?
My favorite plants is things that I like to eat, like fruits, vegetable, corns, and you can tell the difference if you travel to Jamaica and you eat the fruits out there. The same fruits here has a different taste, and the reason for that is because of the soil. The soil is more important. The soil is more enriched, so you get better fruits, you get better animal meat, better birds, everything. The same steak that you eat here and you eat it in Jamaica, it's a different flavor, and it's all because of the soil, because the soil grow the things and more enrich and feed the plants better, so the animals have better grass, better trees, and better stuff to eat. Here they grow the animals by artificial food, by bag food, which they scientifically develop.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they give them grass, they give them the A. And the A is not potent like the natural green grass that they would eat from the ground.
Oh, so you're saying, oh, okay, so you're saying they give them hay instead of regular grass that's grown alive. It's still alive. It's growing out the ground. They eat it. It regrows. They eat it again.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that natural process, you're saying what they do is give them bales of hay.
Yeah, they grow the grass, and then they cut it, dry it out, and give it to them. So when the grass is dry, it loses a lot of the potency.
Okay.
When the grass is green, then you get everything out. When they graze from the earth, they get everything out of the grass.
Right.
So you get a better tasting animal, more flavorable. Than feeding them from the dry egg. You get the same meat but a different flavor.
So you're saying it's like when you go to the grocery store and maybe buy some of this celery or these green onions or this asparagus or this Swiss chard or the chamomile. When you go to the store, it's actually it's not as good because it's been chopped down for a while, maybe a week. It's been transported, so it's starting to lose potency as time goes by, versus eating it straight out the garden, harvesting it straight from the garden and eating it just like how they would in the wild.
And again, that still come back to also to the soil, because the soil give everything that flavor, that special flavor. So when you get the potent soil, the rich soil, the good soil, the clay soil that has 3, 4, 5 layers, because all soil supposed to have layers.
Okay.
You know, you got the top layer, the middle layer, the bottom layer.
Yeah, like a forest.
Yeah. And you know, it's like a ladder. So here you don't have that.
There's no layers. There's just layers of, or just not layers, but just clay. Just pure clay.
Or dirt.
Yeah.
You know, so that show you that something is wrong with the soil. So what you have to do is build that soil up, develop that soil
with organic material.
Organic material, naturally, with the leaves from the plants.
Right.
You know, the trees that you cut on, the shaving.
Right.
You know, you plow it up in the plant and have it break down by itself, or you fermented it and break it down into manure and develop the soil, add it to the soil, and the soil start because if you dig here in Nevada, none of this earth has worm in it, and worm is a big nutrients to soil, because the worm develop the soil, the worm enrich the soil, because the worm feed from the soil, then pass back its feces in the soil to develop the soil. And the good worm that do that here, it's a pink worm. It has a pink color, white and pink.
Okay.
So if you dig if you go to Nevada and dig all the soil, you won't find none of
So
is
that the earthworm or the red wiggler that you're talking about?
That's the earthworm.
The earthworm.
Which is pink and white. That's the worm that the soil need to develop. And if the soil doesn't have that worm, that means the soil isn't good.
Okay.
You got to develop that with natural organic thing like leaves. And so after the leaves break down, and the soil start develop, then the earth start producing those worms.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that spot that you have after you start plow it up, after a year and a half, you'll start see worm. That means your soil is developing. Your soil is getting better.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I like that. I like
Uh-huh.
that. And we appreciate that because here at what's the Groove Gardens, we do like I said, um we don't grow with our own style of growing. We mimic nature. We mimic nature and what nature has you know done itself. We don't think of our own ideas. We watch what nature do for a long time, and then we just mimic that. We replicate it, and if we can speed up the process, we do that. Just like a forest would drop leaves from the trees, it will drop trees, drop wood, drop all type of organic material down to the floor and create layers to the floor. We create that same thing here. In the natural process, we don't use any fertilizers, any pesticides. Yes, we buy soil from big box stores. But that's because we have to, and that's because just like what he said, the soil is what we need. The weather, the plants can adapt to, if it can, but it's the soil we have to provide to help them, uh, uh, adapt to that weather out there. Because if we don't feed the soil, then we can't feed the plant, and that's just how that goes. And a lot of people um, in gardening also grow plants. Here we don't grow plants, we grow soil. So if we grow soil, our plants will grow for sure. If you grow your plants with your store-bought fertilizers and your pesticides and all this food, in 3 years, guess what? Your whole garden is going to be so salty and full of chemicals and everything. That first year, this is what your garden will look like. It will look flourished. Next year, it will downgrade. Year after that, will downgrade. Year after that, it will downgrade till all your crop is depleted because you've ruined your soil with chemicals and salts and things that will not organically break down to better material. What we did here was mimic what nature would do in a natural process, is drop wood chips from a tree, put down organic things. You see there's peanut shells and compost that we make here on site through our organic material, and we build the dirt. That way we grow the dirt, that way we can grow the plant, right?
And it gives that dirt gives the plant or whatever you grow a different flavor from what
Chemicals.
the farmers grow in a mass production.
Okay.
Because you develop the soil. The soil is more enriched. So you get a better flavor, better fruits, better plant, more nutritious. Most of the mass product, the soil, they use water and fertilizer. So when you go to the store in a couple of days, if you notice, a lot of the plants turn water. You break down and turn water after a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
You grow the thing like this, like if you, for example, tomato. If you grow tomato in the soil, comparing to the mass production tomato, you come here and you pick your tomato. The tomato would be hard as a rock. You can throw the tomato and knock somebody down with it like a rock. You go to the store and buy the tomato there, and you hit somebody with it to just splash,
Right.
break like balloon.
Right.
Come open and water it.
Okay. So you're saying.
So that's what the good soil do.
Okay.
Make things better. Make you plant more nutritious. Make your plant more flavorable. And if anybody think I'm lying, they can go and just buy something from the store. Come here and get the same thing here and taste it, and you taste the difference. The flavor.
Okay. Okay. So you heard it, guys.
Even the smell sometimes of some of them. Like, for example, the time that you grow here and the time that you buy there. The time that you buy there, no smell. You get this organic growing, natural growing time with the developed soil. You smell it, and you can smell the flavor right there. And
Right.
that's when you put that in your food. That's a flavor you're gonna get from your food.
Right.
The one that you smell naturally.
Uh-huh.
That's a flavor the food gonna have.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I would agree with that because even with our strawberries right here, um if I don't know if you guys seen previous episodes, but I just cut those dinosaur tree um down. They should grow back. If not, they won't, but I just chopped those down. They went to seed and it was blocking out all the strawberries. But now we're gonna have strawberries coming in, and I would say strawberries out the garden, like he said, in a more organic or natural way of growing. We don't really like to say organic because that can mean any amount of things. Natural way of growing. Uh, these strawberries are a lot better than the stores. When I go to the store, they're very acidic. I don't like them. They're just not too good. Now, when I eat strawberries out the garden, they're so sweet. They don't have that acidic taste to it. And they're just very enjoyable. And you said they're what?
Hard.
They're more firm and hard.
You know, they buy the other one in the store that they grow from the fertilizer and the water. It's watery. They break down real quick, and you know it's becomes soft and water after a couple of days.
Okay.
You know, like rather decay away in turn water. This one stand firm.
Okay.
You know, most of the time you grow it like this, it will not turn water that quick. You know, you stay there for a while, and it's hard. The one in this that grow by a lot of fertilizer and water, it break down real quick.
Oh,
you know, the flavor is a lot different. The flavor, I like flavor. You know, and that's why we heat, because if it's not palatable, you're not gonna heat it. You don't like it most of the time. You know,
Whoa.
and that's what we're looking for into or in cultivation, in agriculture, is flavor, palatable taste, growing things that we can digest it better. It's more palatable for us to eat, not just pump it up with water and fertilizer.
Right. Right. And then, so what you mean? It has to be biodegradable to our bodies, right? It has to
Yeah.
be acceptable because our bodies don't accept everything. Our
Yeah.
bodies don't break down everything. Our bodies sometimes just either pass it through our body without breaking it down, or it holds it in our body for a long time and it does not go. So, we need to be making sure we're growing that soil naturally so it is biodegradable to our bodies and how we can accept it on like you said, a flavorable palate, just like the flavors we like to have in our food, instead of those more of a chemical taste that we get out the name brand stores out there.
But even the big farmers can do that on their soil too. They can, you know, because everything here go by season, and even the trees that they cut down, the trees that they grind up, instead of throwing those away, they plow those up in the soil or they ferment it to become manure. So they end up using and plow it up in the soil. So they end up using less water, less fertilizer, and produce better plants, better fruits, better vegetable all the time. And the more you do that, it's better your cultivation gonna be.
Oh, okay. So you
So
guys,
it's not only the backyard. The farmers, they can do that too. You know, it will take a while to do it, but
because they have to reverse what they've already done to their soil.
Yeah,
Right.
But it still can be done. You know, when they cut down a tree and they grind it up, you know, they can ferment that wood chippings, or they can just plow it up in the soil. Because what happened when your soil is rich, it will hold water better. Here, it rained for 3 years, and it stopped rain and in a day,
Yeah.
the soil
10 minutes.
is dry. It's like
10 minutes.
it's never rained.
It never rained.
So that's something wrong right there.
There's no organic material to absorb none of that water.
Yeah. So if they do that with their their leaves, their plants, the trees that they cut down, like when they gonna replant the grass that they cut down, instead of they throw that away, they fermented it, break it down, and plow it back up into soil to enrich the soil, to make the soil more potent, that the soil can hold more water, that they use less natural water. They get a more palatable food, flavorable, and better food that will last longer. Not only for 2 or 3 days, but it will last longer.
So you guys heard it here. He said it, and I agree. The big farmers, not just backyard gardeners, big farmers, you guys can grow naturally and produce mass production for your massive yields. You can grow the soil. Do not grow the plants. It's possible. It's able to be done. I know most companies for profit, they want to sell the same thing over and over, but they're probably going to have to compromise and start doing some diversity so they could grow multiple things and not just grow one crop of things and then have to use those fertilizers, because you're growing the same plant 100 times in one space. Yeah, you're gonna use up all the nutrients that specific plant uses. You're gonna remove that from your soil times 100. So if you're not putting it back, of course you're gonna need those chemical fertilizers. So definitely, we would say go to some diversity, grow intercrop. So you see I have an orange tree here, that's pineapple sage, that's a tomato right there. That's a guava tree right there. So here's some kale sticks, cuttings I threw in here. They might live, they might not. But diversity, right? Now, if I was growing all the same crop here, there would probably be a lot of bugs here that would just eat all, because okay, let's give an example. Say you have a rose patch and you're growing roses. If there's a bug out there that likes to eat roses, you will actually if a bug likes to eat roses, once it's flying by and it sees one rose and it comes up to your rose, it's home. It's found an island of roses. It never has to go anywhere. So it's going to stay there. It's going to reproduce, and it's going to just sit there and eat up all your roses. Now, if you're going diversity and you have your roses and you have some chamomile and you have some kale and you have some strawberries and mint, then that bug's going to get lost. He's going to go to your rose, then it's going to go to the chamomile, then it's going to go to something else and something else. It never stayed to reproduce. It got everything it wanted and it probably left. Right? It probably left. It's so full, it's gone. He's not going to sit there and reproduce. You know what I mean? It got what it wanted and it's gone. And if your plants are healthy, I'll tell you this, you won't have to defend yourself from bugs so much, because look, I'll show you an example here where you can see maybe like right there. You see those little bites of kale? That's because these plants are so full of nutrition that the bugs can't eat that much. They take a couple bites and they're full. You know what I mean? And just like my dad was saying earlier, how the cattle right now, horses, cows, chickens, they're not eating off of live grass. They're not eating off of live plants. They're eating that dead plants. So when your soil's good, your plants are good. It'll help fight off the bugs. Their self. The plants will be able to defend themselves against pest, disease, and anything like that. So you see, this is a really big leaf right here. Whoever was eating this is full. You see, they got a couple bites and then they're full. There's nothing else they can do. So make sure you grow your plants healthy. That way, you grow your soil healthy. That way you can have plants that can defend themselves from pest or disease. And so before we wrap it up, you got anything else to leave with them?
Yeah, it's like when you, as you were saying, when you do cultivation, you, like, for example, if you plant potato here this year, you plant corn over here, next year you put the corn where the potato was and put the potato where the corn is, and you switch around.
Right, rotate crops.
Rotate the crops instead of growing the same thing at the same place year on, same thing for 5 years at the same place. You know, you rotate the plant, rotate the thing, especially with the soil that we have up here.
Okay.
You know, so that will help your plants give you better production. You know, and as I said again, don't forget, don't waste your trees, don't waste your leaves, don't waste your grass. Whenever you do that, whenever you get those things, you cut them, you grind them up, and you compose them for manure to build your soil up.
Okay.
To get better plants and better fruits and better flavor.
Okay,
and
so
it's easy to be done. It take a little time, but it can be done. And to the long run, you're gonna save because you're gonna spend less on water.
Okay.
You're gonna spend less to buy manure.
Okay.
You're gonna produce the same way. Get better fruits that people will buy more because it's more flavorable, it's more palatable, it's more good to taste, to encourage you to eat it.
Oh, okay.
So now, you know, some of these fruits, you go and you buy one and you taste it, and that's it. You'll never buy another one again. Okay. Because there's no flavor there. It's not palatable.
And you said don't waste your trees, don't waste your leaves, your kitchen scraps, your fruit peelings and stuff like that. You said compost them, right?
Compost them.
Like those compost bins we have over there.
The soil.
And so I do something called a chop and drop. Let them know if that's okay. I do a chop and drop. What the chop and drop is, the other day I cut, a lot of leaves off this fajoa tree. It's a pineapple guava, and as you can see, the leaves I just threw back in there. Yeah. So sometimes I'll chop branches off and just throw it back to the ground. That's called chop and drop. Is that okay, or do you just say you have to compost it first?
That's okay, but when you do that, after it sits for a couple months, you want to plow around that plant. That thing, because it takes longer sitting on top of the earth to compose itself.
Right.
So after a couple of months, when it dried and stuff, you plowed around that plant to plow that grass or that leaf or that branch in it. Then it sits in the soil, and from the change of climate, the hot, the cold, the humidity, that break down those leaves and branches into the soil, and it becomes soil. It develops your soil, it enriches soil. Then in a year and a half, you start having earthworms. And earthworms are the key for your soil.
Right. Okay.
That's why they call earthworm. They develop your soil, they enrich your soil, they feed your soil. So anywhere you go and you plow and you don't see no worm, there's something wrong with that soil.
So worms are an indicator bug. So they're, or whatever they're considered, bug, I guess. We'll go with bug. They're an indicator bug. They indicate that there's good soil.
Yeah.
Just like bees will indicate that you have flowers or good food around and fruits and stuff like that, right? Or good flowers and stuff like that, I guess. So worms are a good indicator of good soil, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's called earthworm.
Earthworms.
Yeah. It's a pink and a white worm, and they're like 6 inches. Well, it depends on how the older one, they're like about 6 inches long, and the baby ones them about 3 inches, 2.5 inches.
Right.
You as soon as your soil start getting rich and start getting important, those worms start germinate in the soil. When you plow the soil, you can see those worms.
Right.
Right now, if you go to Nevada and plow all this soil, you'll never find a worm.
Never.
Unless you add to that soil, like, compost.
Maybe under someone's house.
Probably,
Maybe under the house, huh?
Probably not either.
Yeah, there's probably water held up under someone's house somewhere, and probably but there's no organic material for them to eat, so yeah, they're probably not there neither. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll definitely do an episode on the earthworms that I actually breed here, and collect their castings to feed some of our plants, and they call that black gold. It's worm castings because it's such rich material for the plants, and what it does, it just creates a symbiotic relationship between the soil and the roots in the plants. The plants get to feed off certain things in the worm castings that translate to the soil, and they just speak in a certain way that I guess humans don't understand too much. But yeah, guys, I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and you guys enjoy and keep growing. Anything else for him, Dad?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.